Yeah. Clap sync on 3. 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
Perfection.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Funny story, I actually threw up in front of his office.
Tastes like shit.
No.
Don't be
They're all
gross.
face, baby.
Yellowmouth yuck.
They're well pissed, baby.
Yuck Yuck. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's yucking time.
They can't hear it.
Yo, what's up, guys? Now, what's up, you bad mother yuckers?
What's up, man? We're here again. I'm drinking some orange juice. Wait.
Some of that sweet ASMR, brother. Oh, yeah, we said we were going to do that. We're going to do a whole ASMR podcast.
We did say that. I want you to look at yourself. Do you have underwear on? If not, what I want you to do is carefully, ever so slightly, take your hand and grab the doorknob.
I was waiting for the part where you say you're going to put it back on.
Now what I want you to do is I want you to turn the doorknob as you grab your underwear with the other hand. That's it. I don't know.
Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the YYPP Yuck Yuck Productions podcast. I'm your host, Nathan Christensen. And with me, as always, is the biggest, blackest mother yucker you've ever seen, the Sean.
That's me. I'm blacker today, man. I've got an afro going. I usually don't have my hair out, but in case you can't see me, I don't know why I'm still an ASMR boy.
That's how we need to be talking, pretty much, though.
Yeah. I look like my hair, like a barbecue Brillo pad. If you know what that's from, comment down below.
I don't even know where to start. It was so cold today in Idaho.
Dude.
The snow is...
It was seriously, like, it was raining and we were like, oh yeah, like the summer's going to come back for a little while. You know, we're still in fall. We didn't get much snow last year. No, we were incorrect. 2 days ago, I marked the day. I walked out of my house and it was a winter wonderland. I was like, what is going on? Then
it was blizzarding melted. For a solid 5 minutes.
Yep. And then it all melted and then came back again in the form of frost.
It's crazy, man.
Idaho is insane. I'm surprised we don't get like weird like tornadoes out of nowhere.
That's the mountains protect us from the
That's true.
Heat thing of the wind. So it's the safest place in the world minus Yellowstone.
I mean that, you know, if the super volcano goes off, we're pretty much toast. We're
in the kill zone.
We're
like,
literally toast.
No way we can survive.
Yeah, like everybody else is gonna be hit by ash, and like the ash is gonna cover the atmosphere. No, we're gonna hit by lava.
Yeah, we're getting hit by chunks of stuff.
Chunks of stuff to the face.
Yeah. So your housekeeping. There's a brand new bonus episode up on the Patreon at patreon.com/yuckyuck. We brought in my boy Juan.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about, what did we talk about? We talked about what we're planning on doing with the Patreon bucks in the future.
Oh, yeah.
So you guys know what you're getting with your money.
Talk about Venom. We talked about me.
Yeah, we told a couple stories of the Sean. We talked about how weird Venom was.
Did I tell the McDonald's story in that episode? I can't remember. You'll have to find out. Go to Patreon and figure it out, man.
Yeah, go to patreon.com, yuck yuck.
I was extra vulnerable for you. told some compromising stories.
Some crazy stuff. Other housekeeping. So the show is officially going, not the bonus episodes, but the regular show from now on is going to be non-explicit. I'm still going to do my humor in my way. Though I was thinking about it. I don't even remember where I took the inspiration from, but it's like, you know, it's like when you wear like the weights around your like arms and ankles when you're training for a sport or whatever. Yeah. And then when you get off them, like the rest of your body feels lighter because you're used to carrying that. I feel like I'm doing the same thing. I should do the same thing with like lifestyle comedy, which I guess is what we do, lifestyle comedy.
Yeah.
And so if I can be entertaining and funny and not...
Right, and not have to curse or whatever.
Yeah, but then if I do curse, in the future when I'm not doing it, just so that way we can grow easier and be easier found out, then it'll be even funnier.
Yeah, man.
And more likable.
That's exactly right. More novelty in the cursing.
Did I curse yet? I felt like I said a swear word somewhere.
No, you did not. Very, very good.
Thank you, Brother Sean.
No, man. It's true, man. It's just you apply in our area, so you got to take demographics in term. We're not neither one of us are very prone to censorship, right? We come from backgrounds, but the thing is that, like, in our area, we just will apply to a bigger that's all. That's it.
Yeah,
Just
we'd like to apply to a local demographic, and like we've talked about a jillion times on the show now, it's very Mormon. And even those that aren't Mormon, they still have a similar kind of class where it's like, oh, you don't swear in public. You don't say, oh, my God.
Yeah. I'm so, I just blew your ears off. I'm sorry. As a Christian, I'm trying to stop cursing. I could communicate my idea effectively without cursing, I think. I can still be funny. I'm a funny guy.
That's the goal.
All right.
And so we were talking off air about trying to figure out the show's demographic and what we're trying to do and stuff, and I don't know, I determined that I guess the target demographic would be what are you doing? Put that down, boy.
Sorry, just trying to light things on fire. Don't worry about me. Continue your
the
story.
Demographic that I feel like we should be aiming for is young men seeking enlightenment, like you and I. Because us, ever since we've been little, like, we've been all about the journey.
It's true, man. You got you got a lot of stuff.
Check. There we go. I'm back. Sorry.
Check.
My microphone wire is messed up.
We're
If I
good,
bump
we're
it at all,
good.
it's like an old iPhone 4 charger that you had for like 8 years. And if you don't get it in the exact right spot before you go to bed, you're gonna wake up with a dead phone and be late for school.
Yep, that's exactly right. It's just the truth, brother. It's just the truth. Old cords. I used to, when I had my old iPhone, I've taken better care of this iPhone. But if you had seen my old phone, this thing was like broken to the core. Like it was fundamentally broken. It had broke its spirit as well as its body. It's a bane.
No, that's something that I actually agree with with the boomers is like you don't appreciate the value for things until you buy them yourselves. Like ever since I started buying my own phones, after I broke 2, I haven't broken one since.
Right.
Like I've had this one for almost like 2 years now. Like,
yep.
Once you have to start buying your own shit, you take care
This thing
of it.
put me in a hard spot, man. Had to buy it. I had to get another one. Yeah, man. I mean, I was reading a thing. It's interesting. I was reading a book the other day. It's called Building a Story Brand. And it talks about like what Steve Jobs did with the Apple brand. Apparently he had like his first product was called Linda or something. Mm-hmm. And there was like he made like a 7-page editorial in the Times News that was just like all about the technological advances of this phone. And nobody cared at all. Like nobody.
What year was it?
Steve Jobs. What'd you say?
What year?
Oh, what year? I don't know. It was back. I think it might have been like the 7th. No. It was sometime because it was the time when he transferred from Pixar to Apple or making
when Apple was starting. Yeah.
Yeah. It's when he left Pixar, I think. But anyways, it was talking about how like his first product, he just like saturated the market with information and nobody cared. Like they literally could not understand what he was saying. Like they're like, that makes no sense to me. And so when he came out with his next product, he literally marketed it with 2 words they put on a billboard. And it was think different. That's it. And that's why, now Apple is the Mac is the biggest product in the entire world, like as far as electronics and technology and phones and stuff goes. Even though, so here's the other thing that this book was saying is even though the iPhone isn't the most technologically advanced, like it's not. It's just a piece of technology, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like if you're a computer programmer, obviously Android product, you can, what is it? What's that word you use? Open source.
Open source, yeah.
It's open source. You can do whatever you want. It's not proprietary programming, so you don't have to break into the phone.
Yep.
But the thing about an iPhone is that it's the easiest to use, right? It has the most user-friendly interface.
Yeah. The popular thing amongst Apple users is it just works, and that's all they care about is it just works. And as long as they buy everything Apple, it'll always work with everything.
Yep. Just works, man. That's all they figured out that all a human needs, like a regular person in society, all they need is just an easy to use, as least friction as possible device that they can take pictures on, call people, text people, and use apps. That's it. That's all a regular person needs that doesn't know computer programming or doesn't have, they're not trying to run a gaming platform off their phone or whatever, like just a regular person in society, which is why the phone is the biggest one in the world. It's true.
It actually isn't anymore.
Oh, it's not?
Yeah, Android's #1 now, and then there's a Chinese phone that's actually banned in the United States called Huawei or something like that.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. And then the only reason it's banned is because the government's afraid that China's gonna put stuff in it so they can spy on the American people.
Right.
But other than that, it's the most superior Android phone. The only reason it's not #1 is just because it's not allowed to sell in the United States, and that's the biggest place where Android phones are sold.
Wow.
Yeah, so they're third now, which is crazy.
At the time of that book being written.
Yeah. That which was, I looked it up while you were talking. He started Apple in '76, so it would have been in the '70s sometime.
I was gonna say the '70s. I should have said it. Yeah, I swear.
Well, we don't want to spread misinformation.
It was '78. I don't have a photographic memory, but I have a pretty damn good memory when it comes to just remember. So I remember seeing 1978 or something. Anyways, all right, yeah. So take that as inspiration. That product. I like iPhones. I'm not a computer programmer. The guy sitting across from me is, but I'm not.
Oh, I left those days long in the past, man. I like it as a hobby. I'm working on a project for Stereos right now. It's kind of boring, but basically he likes to play this game while he's streaming. And I found out there's a huge modding community for it. Not a huge, but a moderately sized one with enough documentation that I could figure out how to make mods for it.
Right.
And so I was going to make a mod for him while he's streaming it, where it has all these inside jokes and stuff. It'll be funny.
There you go, man.
But it's not fun for me as a job. I did it for one summer as a job when I was
a wee tot.
Yeah, when I was interning at that real estate place. And it was just it felt so forced, and I didn't, and in any time we programmed for competitions in high school and stuff, it was never fun. It was just always work. We'd sit down and plan it. I like doing things very unorganized, and plus
right.
There's certain ways you when you do code, there's a couple different ways you can organize your structures, and I organized it different than everyone else. So whenever I worked with anyone else on something, they would always get frustrated and change it, and then I'd change it back, and then we'd get fist fights. Remember Tanner? You know the Tanner I'm talking about? Yeah, we got each other's throats one time.
Oh, really?
He's that is the inferior way to organize your code.
Tanner's hilarious. I haven't seen that, and I haven't seen any of the pack in a long time. That was a weird thing too, because when you think about especially Tanner and Delaney, I feel they're definitely in a different socioeconomic place.
Yeah.
They were just definitely more popular than us in high school.
Yeah.
And so it was always weird because I'd see Tanner hanging out with the cool kids, quote unquote, same with Delaney. And then I'd come back to the programming room and you guys are drinking Mountain Dew and getting these things done, just grinding away on Minecraft, whatever you're doing. Man. Hilarious. Good stuff. I like it. Tanner, if you're watching this, I love you.
I'll let him know we talked about him in this episode. In the most non-homo way as possible, brother.
That's right. Man, I was thinking about all the times that I've climbed Mount Borah in my life.
Yeah.
That's a story, and we're going to tell this story right now, actually, because it's a good story.
Oh, yeah.
So this is a Nathan and Kayshawn story, actually. I remember this clearly.
Yeah, the one time I did anything hard.
Yeah, so we gotta set it up. So Nathan's father, your father's name's John, right?
Yes, sir.
John Christensen is like a mountain man. I swear. Like, okay, so Nathan, we had this thing in high school where, like, you know, Preston, Zane, Nathan, we all just like invited each other to random stuff. And at this time, like, Nathan was Mormon. And so they have this thing called High Adventure, I guess, where, like, in the middle of the summertime, you go and just do something with the scouts.
Yeah, it's usually like a rough and tumble week-long camping trip.
Yeah, man. So I didn't know, like, I had no idea who was in his ward, I think is what it's called. And so he just invited me on this trip, and he's like, we're going to climb the highest mountain in Idaho. I'm like, all right, I'm down. So we pack up our stuff, and, like, all these kids are here that I know. And I'm like, wow, I had no idea that you all were friends. But it was like Dallin and Landon Hatch. There was Case and Pearl, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, we're all chilling. So we go on this camping trip, and it's like a 2-day thing. So, like, the first day, I think we climb Mount Borah, and then the second day we're supposed to go on a rafting trip, right? And so we all get to the base camp. We get to Borah the next day, and we're climbing up this mountain. And I remember that someone had told me that because we were high, we were closer to the sun on the mountain, that it was going to be hot enough for me to be in a t-shirt. And so I remember wearing like an Under Armour, like sucking to my nipples, like just the tightest t-shirt you can imagine. And then like I had my combat knife and a backpack. I'm just climbing up this mountain, and I'm like dying. I'm like, what is going on? This is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
And it was just windy.
Yeah,
that's the part they don't tell you. It's a hot wind,
dude,
but it makes you feel cold. The air chill is insane.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like it was 80 degrees on the mountain before the tree line broke, but as soon as the tree line broke, we're screwed,
so
man.
windy.
We were just wrecked. So we're getting up this mountain, and we pass the tree line. We get to Chicken Out Ridge. Cason's like, hey, man, I'm trying to bring the sword up to the top of the mountain. You want to carry it for me? So I'm carrying the sword. I almost died because the sword got stuck in a rock like 3 times as I'm scaling it.
Okay. We need to backtrack because you missed a lot already. Okay.
What did we do?
Okay. Well, so first we gotta go back to the preparation for the trip because me and you hiked the canyon.
That's right.
My favorite place in the world. Swear to God, honest, it is so hard to get to, and it is such a hard hike. But I find so much zen in that one location.
Pillar Falls, man.
Pillar Falls, yeah. And I'll go back to it, but it's been overrun lately with garbage. So,
yeah.
So we hiked that many times, and because Borah is a super hard hike, and if you're not even trying to get in shape for it, you'll actually die. Like, it is one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life physically.
It's pretty tough, man.
And
I've done it 3 times now, but since then. But.
Yeah, well, it gets easier the more you're in shape, and you're like way more in shape.
Right.
Probably you are now than you were back then.
Right. Oh yeah. No, it was tough,
versus
man.
Me, you know.
It was tough, and we, I remember we got to the camp, and the only thing I remember is like I think that people were trying to I remember we had lighters and stuff, but people were trying to start because we were with the scouts, so they're trying to start the fire with flint and steel, and
yeah,
I'm just
earn the badges, buddy.
This is super unnecessary. I feel like climbing a mountain is enough. Rafting is enough. We just start the fire with flint and steel. It's okay. Anyways,
that was part of the experience, man, and that's the only way I knew how to start a fire. Like my dad still today does not light the fire and the smoker with any conventional means at all.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's always something weird. Because this ties in with the story too. Because I remember it freaked me out the first time I saw someone start a fire with gasoline. I was like, "Whoa, that's dangerous! You can't do that." I was at my girlfriend's house at the time, And yeah, she just dumped a ton of gasoline on this fire, and I thought she was just going to stick her hand in there and light it with a lighter like this.
But she picked up like a torch.
No, she just got a piece of paper and lit it on fire after she dumped gas on it, and it still like freaked me out when it went whoosh, because I had never seen a fire ignite like whoosh.
Right. Burn your...
Yeah, I was always nervous around fire unless I built it all the way from like little and then lit it with matches or something,
Right.
Like, and then it's like part of the experience is watching the fire grow. But
yeah, man, fires are something else.
Yeah.
But so we were climbing the mountain. And once you get past the tree line, everything's more dangerous and colder, and you're just
the wind just picks up. And then the part you were talking about, Chicken Shit Ridge, you have to describe that to people because it's like if you haven't been up there, you go into a free rock climb.
So it's like when Lord of the Rings, when they're going to the Eye of Sauron.
Yep.
And it's like just rocks and magma everywhere, and you feel like you're just gonna die by falling off the side of a shard of rock. That's pretty much what Borah is not a pretty mountain. That's the thing, is that there's a lot of mountains that you can climb and they're pretty, and there's a lot of nice scenery. There's nice scenery for maybe the first like hour, and then it's just ugly, dude. It's just like brown and yellow and gray, just straight sleet. And
some of the parts on the way up are kind of pretty.
Yeah.
Just because it's like a lot of trees and nature and stuff, but I've never really been one for like hiking because it's pretty. Mm-hmm. It's more about getting to the location, like
But just to describe the nature of the mountain, it's just like a bald mountain. It's just a ugly thumb that's scraping the sky. Pretty much what it is.
Yeah, and so you have to do a free form like rock climb, and there's like 2 or 3 spots you can get across, and then the actual why they call it Chicken Shit Ridge is because there's just this weird part that's been eroded by water and snow. And so it's like this perfectly smooth slope that just goes like
down the entire mountain.
Like 300 feet, dude. All the way down the mountain.
Oh my gosh, that reminds me of what happened too. So Chicken Out Ridge is super dangerous. It's not a lot of people have died on the mountain, but some people have died. Because it's just like, it's a class 3 for the majority of the way, and then it turns into a 4 right as you get to the top. And so it's like, it's a pretty average climb for most people until you get to Chicken Out Ridge, which is why they call it Chicken Out Ridge, is because most people who don't have a lot of technical climbing experience will chicken out at that ridge and then turn back, and then that's just their climb, right?
Mm-hmm.
But for me,
that's still a hard climb.
It was just the pressure of the scouts being behind me, and like I was with a group, and so I'm like, all right, well, let's.
And that still didn't stop some of them. Like 3 or 4 in a leader turned back at that point too. Right.
And so I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna, everybody else is doing it, so I'm gonna figure out my way across this ridge. And we're gonna have to tell the story differently because I think I wasn't with Nathan at this time.
The thing is the Hatch boys had baby pee-pee syndrome.
Yeah,
and so they took off.
Flying up that mountain,
and they played varsity football in freshman year. Like these are the 2 fittest twin dudes. Like they could have had modeling careers and whatever they wanted to do as far as being pretty boys. Strong men went.
Right.
I don't know what they're doing now, but they're
probably on their mission, or they probably just got back from there.
One of them did, yeah. But so they just took off at high speed. And I think some of your testosterone and wanting to be manly with them kind of caught up to you. And so me and my dad kind of chilled out and stayed behind because we had one kid that was, I don't remember what strain of social disorder he had, or mental disorder, I should say, but he had one of them. And so we hung back with him, and he just complained all the way. So, and then right when we broke the tree line, he's like, I can't do it. Right. And then he went back down.
Right. Needless to say, it was not. I don't think it was very good. A well-planned trip. It was.
The only one that had done it before was my dad, and he was behind everyone.
Right. We hadn't talked about like staying together in groups or anything, as far as I knew. I was coming in late though, so they might have talked about it in church or whatever. But as far as I knew,
nothing.
Nobody talked about staying together.
It was assumed that everyone stays together. Yeah. That's just like how you do stuff when you're doing dangerous.
Yeah. So I didn't. So again, like I'm coming in blind, like double blind. Like I'm like, I don't know any of these kids. And some of them I know, but not too well. Like I didn't know the hatches very well. And so to me, I'm like, all right, well, I guess the key is just to climb the mountain, right? So I just started climbing, did my thing, and I got to Chicken Out Ridge. And I remember that exact spot that Nathan was talking about. It's like covered in snow at the top. Well, actually, no, it's covered in snow all the way down. It's like a 300 stretch, a 300-foot stretch of just snow and ice.
So if you fall, there's no like regaining your ground because it's like hard stone on top of snow.
My way out of that.
You have to hope that you can grab a patch of snow just right.
Yeah. And so also disclaimer, that was not the way to go. Now that I've climbed the mountain 3 times, I know where I should have gone, but I went on the lower ground and tried to cross so I saw some ice pick holes and some shoe prints, and I didn't think in my mind
you thought it was a walking stick and boots.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm just gonna go across this snow, not realizing how steep it was. Got halfway across before, I don't remember if it was Nathan or somebody else, but someone's like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, what?
I'm crossing, brother.
I'm like in the middle of the snow with like 2 survival knives, like just picking my way across the ice, and they're like, you can't do that without a rope. Like, you need equipment. You could die. I'm like, I know.
So?
I'm too far. I need to keep going. And I had never climbed a mountain before, mind you. Like, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was just on this ridge, right? So needless to say, I got across with my size 18 boots that were like literally only an inch of the rubber of my boot was on the mountain.
It's so scary, man.
Oh my gosh.
Like, it is called Chicken Out Ridge for a reason. Yeah. It is so scary.
So I got across the ridge, and I made it up the other side, and then there's a goat path. And then pretty much there's nothing more dangerous. It's just really hard.
It's just, it's kind of dangerous just because it's really steep, and it's just super inclined. And it's actually it's more dangerous on the way down than it is up, because if you just dig your boots in, you're good. It's just rough on your legs. Like, it's the hardest physical part, just like via leg movement, I guess is the only way to put it. It's just like, that's the hardest part on your legs, especially after you've done the whole hike up. Right. And then your balancing muscles really start to come into effect on the way down.
Yeah. I guess the point is that, like, with Chicken Out Ridge, you could definitely fall 10,000 feet to your death. Like, not 10,000, but you could
not even like fall. It's like a roll. You roll.
You could just roll on forever and just die. And there's certain parts where you could fall like 30 feet, crack your face, and then fall another 50 feet. And then basically you're off them. Like, you're dead. But with after Chicken Out Ridge, you could fall and hurt yourself, but you're not going to fall like completely off the side of the mountain. You would like roll, but then a rock would catch you. Whereas Chicken Out is just like dead. Like, no matter what, if you fall off that rock, you're done. Right? At least you'll injure yourself really badly. And so after I got past Chicken Out Ridge, it was fine. I mean, I got, it was just mentally challenging. And it's really cool because there's a false summit, but the false summit is really beautiful. So you round around the corner of this mountain, because technically you're not climbing Borah at that point. You're climbing an adjacent mountain, and Borah, they connect, merges onto Borah, because if you were to just climb Borah, you actually have to climb up the other side, which takes some equipment to do. You'd have to.
It's faster though. It actually is faster.
Right.
Because you get way more distance just going straight up rather than winding all the way up and then across the connecting chicken shit ridge. And
yep, exactly. And so when you actually transfer onto Borah, the mountain, there's this huge ridge, and the ridge itself is like, the only thing, what's funny is that if you've played God of War 4, when you're going up to spread Faye's ashes, and you think the mountain that you're on is the tallest mountain, spoiler alert, by the way, you think the mountain that you're on is the tallest mountain in the realm, but it's actually in Jotunheim, and so that's like the beginning of the game, and the tease, because you think it's that thing where you think you finished the game, but then someone's like, no, strip away all your equipment, now you have to gain it back, or whatever. And it's that in that game you have like a snowy ridge that you have to climb to get to the other mountain, and that's exactly what this is it's like just this stretch of snow in which you're looking at Borah, the mountain, coming from the other mountain, and if you look to your left and right, you can just see the whole valley, dude. Like, you can see, Arco and Sun Valley and everything. Like, you can just see it all. And so, that's the idea. I think our
Yep. Enjoy some elevator music while the camera restarts.
Did you catch it? Is that why you saw it?
Yeah.
Oh, you saw it? Okay. Good. I'm making sure that we weren't like talking for like 20 minutes after.
Yeah, we're playing elevator music. We're good, baby. We got to remember to do a second clap sync this time. That's what we forgot. Yeah. Yep. 2, 1.
All right, we're back. So, anyways, we climbed across this ridge, and and then you get to Borah. But when you actually get onto Borah, it is pretty much just straight up climbing, just bouldering rocks all the way up the thing. And so you've already been climbing for like 5 hours. You're like, my gosh. With that group, I did it in I think I did in 6 hours round trip last time I did, but
yeah, it's supposed to be about 6 hours round trip.
Yeah, but we did it in like 12 hours with this scout group.
It was like 9, but
yeah, something like that. This is a long.
I was the last one down, I think.
Yeah.
That actually made it almost to the top.
Because remember, I met back up with you guys after I got to the top. You were at the bottom ridge, and then I met up with you, and then I just climbed with you. And
I didn't. I just tell everyone that I've gotten to the top because I had never experienced it before, and I haven't really experienced one as bad since. But what I was having, I didn't understand at the time, was an anxiety attack. Right. Because I already had the mad stress of, because no one told us about Chicken Out Ridge. Right. No one told us like that even was a thing. Right. Like they basically told us just hike and practice so that way you're better in physical shape and ready for it.
So you just survived like some crazy.
Yeah. And then I got like you said, you have to just circle around. And then you're at there. I stopped right there and just sat down. I just started yelling at my dad, and me and him got into a huge fight. And I felt really bad because I didn't mean some of the stuff I said, but it was getting to around the time, because I had already met Lexi at this point, my ex-girlfriend, whose parents kind of gave me some of the information and started guiding me down a new path of enlightenment that wasn't Mormonism. And so like we got into a big fight where I basically just started attacking him, and I was like, I was only doing this to make you happy, and I didn't want to do this and stuff, because I just wanted to start heading back down. Right. Because I knew the sooner I started heading back down, the sooner my anxiety would go away. I didn't know this at the time, but that was just what my subconscious was telling me. Right.
No, man. Yeah.
And so we started heading back down, and you caught up with us.
Yeah, I remember. This is crazy. I remember because we ate lunch on the top, and your father was making sure that everybody was okay, so you guys were waiting on the lower ridge. But I think what happened was you were at the snowy ridge, and you made it. Like, it's like...
I was literally 50 feet away. Like you said, you were... I remember when we started heading back down, you said, like, if I knew you were that close, I would have just picked you up and carried you to the top without any kind of consent. Just because you were there. You just wanted me to see the view and experience what it looked like at the top.
Yeah. And so that was the thing. And so I think you guys had climbed, and you already, I think, had gotten around Chicken Out by the time I met back up with you. Because the only time I remember is when we were waiting for other kids, your father kind of like tucked into a thing, and then we were just telling stories or whatever. It was like right before Chicken Out, there's like this left cut off, and then you kind of climb down into it, and really it's kind of dangerous, but it's just like this little pocket, and it blocks you from the wind for a little bit. And so
you tucked down in there and we all warmed back up for a second,
took a piss, did our thing, and then waited. But man, like that whole experience, like I said, Nathan's not exaggerating. It was dangerous, but like so here's the other thing, is because I have the insight of having climbed it with another group and by myself, which was really hard, by the way. It was the group, it was the circumstances around it too. It was just like, man, we've got all these kids up on this mountain. Like, if any of us die, this is the biggest loss that you've ever seen in your face.
Oh, the church has insurance and everything, but still.
Right. It was and plus you just don't want your buddy to fall off the side of a mountain.
Like the anxiety, like I'd never experienced I have now, but through other things. But the whole point, like they said, the whole point of the trip was to prove to young men that they can do hard things.
Right.
Like that was the whole moral of the story. We were all overthinking it like it was some kind of religious thing, like it was supposed to relate to the Bible in some way. And it was like, no, It's literally just to prove to you and yourself that you can do very hard things. And I think that's why they didn't tell us how hard it was going to be. Besides, it's kind of hard, you need to be in shape. The reason why they told us that is because they didn't want to play it up.
Yeah, so you had to build within yourself the confidence in that moment. And it's true. I mean, it's that. So that's the other thing is that the last time I climbed it by myself, right? So I had organized a trip through Crossway, but people, for whatever reason, I think there was a funeral that weekend, something happened. There's just a lot of stuff. And so there's a couple people who hadn't confirmed yet. So instead of going to the funeral, I said, well, we've already organized publicly this trip. So if anybody's going that just hasn't confirmed with us, I need to make sure that I meet them there. That was my mindset. It was like, if there's anybody that hasn't said anything and they're counting on us being there, then I'll just go and you guys stay behind and do whatever. So it was from me leaving Twin Falls, it was a freaking spiritual hard experience. Like just me driving by myself in the dark. I drove there like overnight. I didn't drive there in the day. So I'm driving at like 1 o'clock in the morning over that top ridge. I cut through North Sun Valley Road. So it's like, I remember it was funny. I was really getting scared actually because I kept on seeing like these black objects just flying by me. I'm like, are these demons? What's going on? And it turned out to be black Angus cows, but they were just all over the countryside. So I'm just getting freaked out. Drive up there. I got lost because I used Google to try to find Borah because I'd never found it by myself.
Yeah.
I'd never driven there by myself. And so like I drove up the other side of the mountain and then finally like I'm on these trails and I like was in I have a little 99 Cougar and I'm just like rocking, just scaling these rocks with my little car just out in the middle of nowhere. Yep. And finally I run into these shepherds and they're like, what the hell are you doing out here, boy? I'm like,
looking for
going to Borah. And they're like, Borah ain't up here. Borah's down on that trail. What the hell? You got to turn around, just go down to the highway, take a left, then the first left you find is Borah. I'm like, okay. So I went up there, found everybody. There was like people camping out already. So it was that was the only warming experience of the whole experience, right? It was just like all the other campers that were already.
Were any of them from Crossway?
No.
So no one from Crossway was
So
there.
I ended up climbing the mountain completely by myself. I'm like, I didn't drive all the way.
I did not know that. That's a hard thing.
Yeah. So okay. So I get up and since I could control it, I'm like, well, I learned my lesson last time. I don't want to be caught in any weather situations or anything like that. In fact, when we climbed it the first time with Crossway, your brother was our guide.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Jacob was our guide for when Crossway actually climbed the mountain the year before. But we didn't get to the top because of the weather, and your brother called it, which was a good choice because it was going to snow, and you don't want to get trapped on the mountain when it's snowing. But anyways,
you'll die. You can't do that.
Yeah, exactly. So I get up at 4:30. That's when I start hiking the mountain, right? So I can catch the top pretty much like when the sun's going to be rising, so that I'm not, cold or not cold, but if there is weather coming, that I'm going to beat it. I'm going to be ahead of it. And it was the clearest day of the summer, pretty much. So I got pretty lucky.
It's all about being prepared.
But it was so freaking hard, man. It was so hard to do it by yourself. Because you have yourself in your mind the entire time being like, well, since you're the only one here, you can just tell people that you climbed the mountain. Like, you don't have to. I'm like, no, that's.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is like you being the only one there to hold yourself accountable, I would have turned around. I wouldn't have told people I would have done it just because I hold myself to a higher code of honesty than that. But I definitely wouldn't have done it.
Yeah, but it goes through your mind. Like, I wouldn't have done that either, but in the same way, like, your mind is your mind, so your brain's like, this is what you can do if you don't want to be in this hard situation anymore. And so I'm like, man, like, this is just... So I climbed the mountain, and it was really cool because, I was able to help other people at that point. Like, there was an older gal that was really in good shape, but she was just very scared because I went over the ridge this time. I didn't go under I learned my lesson from that snow. So I went the actual dangerous way over Chicken Out, where you're just on the top of the ridge like a freaking razor blade, right? And then you have to like jump down 10 feet to the other ridge. And so there, at that point, I have a long body, so I was able to just scale and boulder the rock down to the other side pretty safely. But there was a shorter, older gal that was having some trouble, and so I was able to help her. It was really cool, actually. Like, I was able to help. I had random interactions with people. Since I didn't have a group and I wasn't so into making sure my group was safe, I was just able to worry about myself And then because I was worrying about myself, I was able to worry about others. So if there's anybody that was struggling, I had extra water. If there's anybody that needed extra water, whatever. Like, people take care of each other on that mountain, which is something I didn't notice the first time. There's like water stashed away at certain points that people leave behind for others just in case. Like,
yeah, that's a common thing amongst people who scale mountains. That's why my dad left it in that specific, because when we went up, right before the tree line breaks, there's a bunch of old wood, and there's one specific stump that's just hollowed out, and it's like in the ground, so it stays really cold.
Right.
And there was more water in there besides what my dad put in there. There was just tons of water put in there.
Yeah, people are just so kind because it really is. I mean, if you get stuck in that situation, like, that's hard for anybody. It doesn't matter if you're racist. It doesn't matter if you're, if you don't like people. It doesn't matter. Nothing. Like, once you're on that mountain, it's survive or not. Like, it's just like people.
Yeah.
It's like the code of war, like, in the world. Like, even though we're all different countries, there's one code of war that we all, like, you just can't do certain things, right? And it's the same thing on that mountain. It's like there's just a code. You just leave things behind, and you're courteous, and you're not an ass to people. So yeah, it was really hard. I got to the top. It was the fastest I've ever climbed it. Like I said, I think I actually. When we climbed with Crossway, probably would have scaled it in about 6 hours, but I think I did it in 4 or 5 when I think it was like 2 hours up, 2 hours down.
It's cool too because it takes you like people think that it's like people get nervous because if they have a watch, they'll be looking at the time the whole way up and they think they're running behind. But it takes you like a third, sometimes even like a fourth of the time to get down than what it takes you to get up.
Yep, exactly.
Because once you get back to the tree line, I pretty much jog/ran. You remember that the rest of the way because it's just there's some parts where it's so steep you just start. You just go with it. Yeah. Doesn't matter how numb your legs are. You just go. Yeah,
you kind of just you're always kind of just working at a pace, which was funny. So here's the other thing: is when I got to the top of the mountain that time, there was this guy from Sandpoint, and it was weird. I think like literally in my mind, I had to logic with myself. I thought that this guy was literally God. Like, it was weird because
the Son of Christ himself come to visit you.
It was crazy. So I get to the top of this mountain and I'm there. Like, I take the Crossway picture, right? Like, I have the sign and I have the Crossway hat and I did this thing for Instagram and I'll show it to you after the show. But it's just like the Crossway hat and then my cross that has the Lord's Prayer on it and then like the ammo box that's up there. And anyways, so I took that picture. But there was this other guy from Sandpoint and his daughter and his daughter's boyfriend, right? And this dude has the biggest cross I've ever seen someone try to lug up a mountain. Like, it was like this huge rugged cross. It was like...
Really?
Literally.
And he scaled the mountain with it.
Literally like 3 feet long, like 4 inches thick, like just a thick piece of wood. And he just had this cross. And he's like, my wife told me to put it up here. And so he like put it down. It was super legendary. Like the light broke. It was crazy. And so I was just sitting there.
He literally carried his cross up a mountain like
yep.
Jesus.
Yep.
He was ready to be crucified up there.
So I'm sitting there and this dude just instantly starts talking to me. Like there's at least 20 people on this mountain. And we just hit up a conversation immediately. Like, I'm tired. Like, I just put my all into trying to, like, I'm wheezing, Like, I just got to the top of this mountain. And he's perfectly fine. Like, he was an older dude, at least in his 50s, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like, yeah, man, we're just up here. We're just from Sandpoint. We're going to Arco after this to, to relax. And then we'll probably head back to Sandpoint. We just wanted to see what it was like, We hear Borah was pretty cool. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird that you're from Sandpoint. You traveled all the way down here just to come,
where's Sandpoint?
Washington or Canada or something. But Sandpoint's at the top of Idaho. It's
okay.
Literally 5 miles.
KKK territory, like we were talking about. You look at that, that guy didn't eat you.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, I'm sitting there.
That's why he was talking to you, K-Shot, is because he was hungry.
So we're talking, and this guy's like, you know what, man? You want to climb down the mountain together? And I'm like, yeah,
God bless.
Sure, man. And this guy literally, I swear, like I'm a decently fit guy, all right? Like I'm young, 20, 6'5",
yeah, you exercise often, you eat decently,
I dance a lot. I'm not like super well.
You don't smoke
shape.
or drink, so it's like
yeah, exactly. I don't have any bad habits. So anyways, so I should be able to pretty much go down the mountain pretty easily, but I was exhausted. And so literally this guy is talking to me and he's giving me like hope. Like he's literally like, oh yeah, we're fine, man. We'll just go down this mountain. Don't worry about it. And so I'm just taught, and the whole conversation on the mountain was literally about Jesus and religion, like faith and stuff. And he's just talking to me, blah, blah, blah. And he's just easily like a billy goat, dude. This guy's like scaling these rocks with no problem, still talking, doesn't even break his words. And he's like, hey man, like I don't want to leave a brother in Christ behind, but you're going a little bit slow. I'm like, oh my God. So it's too much, man. So I'm trying to get down this mountain. He's just scaling these rocks, easy going. We get down to the bottom, we finish our conversation. And at that time, our church was pushing what's called a pocket cross, which is just this little aluminum cross that says God loves you or whatever on it. And you're just supposed to share it in conversation and give it to people. And so I had one in my car. Well, actually, I was talking to him, and I remembered I had it in my car. So I'm like, hey, man, like before you leave, I got to give you this. And like, this is the God moment. So I come back, grab the cross, and I hand it to this guy. And it's like he almost knows what it is already. Like, he's like, oh, thanks, man. Like, he already, like, not like a surprised reaction or, oh, that's so cool, I've never seen one of those before, but just like he knew that I was supposed to give this to him, like he was testing me or something, like. And so I give it to him, get back to my car, and I leave first, and we're both going to Arco because I have to gas up, right? Mm-hmm. Both going to Arco, driving down the road. He's behind me for sure, right? Because I want to make sure that he's okay, and he's from northern Idaho, so he doesn't know southern Idaho very well. So I'm driving down the road, and I go over a hill. I look in my rearview mirror and he's gone, man. His car disappeared.
You're kidding me, right?
No, dude. And I got to Arco and I did not, like, he never came to that town. Like, I get to Arco, I waited for like 25 minutes for this guy just to make sure. It's never showed up, man.
You know what?
So
wasn't there a story in the Bible where 3 of the apostles, like Jesus, gave them immortality?
I'm not sure.
I don't remember if they're apostles, but I know that's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Where Jesus gave three people immortality to roam the earth forever, to make sure that his word never leaves the earth.
Yeah.
And you mentioned there was 3 people.
I have no. It's true, man. I don't know. I've never read that scripture specifically or what that is or not.
Hold on. Let me look it up real quick, for a second.
Let's research that.
So I'm not being sacrilegious.
Man. So we're not being sacrilegious.
I try not to. I've been taking it more seriously.
No, man, but it was pretty crazy. Like, it was, if it wasn't a God thing, like if that guy was real and he just like cut to go see the critters of the moon or something, like still, that was still a very spiritual experience. Like, even if that's not what it was, it was just the way that went down, like the way that kind of transpired was just, it's crazy. It's pretty solid, man.
Like you said, very spiritual experience. Those were Nephites from the Book of Mormon, so that's not all flavors of Christianity. That's just the one.
There you go.
My bad. But yeah, there's one of the passages in the Book of Mormon talks about 3 men. But this is where I think it might get sacrilegious. If that was true, then you'd still, like, I think Jesus would be like, yeah, they can't literally walk around as themselves forever just because of the way technology's advanced and how every person is bookmarked now by some kind of government. Mm-hmm. So it would make sense to change their identities and or genders,
Right. But yeah, man, I don't know, spirit thing or whatever. It's just crazy, man. Like, it was a pretty cool experience. So anyways, that's my tangent about Borah, about climbing it by myself. I'll probably do it many times after this, to be honest.
I'm never doing it again. I'm sorry. You might change my mind in the future, but as for now, man, it's just like, I've never been prone to that much anxiety before.
Yeah, man. It was tough. I mean, it was a tough experience. It's not, so I wouldn't say anymore that's the hardest physical thing I've done, but it's up there. It's like top 5 so far. I mean, I'm probably going to climb bigger mountains than Borah in my future. But one of the hardest things I've done actually was still in that area. It was in Sun Valley over the Galena Summit, and it was mountain biking, like actual mountain biking. Taking a purposed mountain bike that has, and they're really like up there at I think it's the Galena Lodge. They have these mountain bikes that have like hydraulic seats. So because you have to be able to go up,
You don't
and
rip your
down
butthole
and
apart.
reduce,
Yep.
So you can adjust, you can individually adjust the suspension on each one of your wheels, but you also have this button over by your shifter that if the seat is down, like a BMX bike kind of, and that's what you'd probably want if you were going downhill, like super fast, right? As soon as you get to an uphill region where you want to stand up and kind of run, is what they would call it, I guess, in cycling, through it, you stand up and bring your butt up, and then you press the button, and the seat pops up and hits you, right? And it pops into your butt, basically, and like immediate, like you don't have to adjust it or nothing. You just hit the button, and it like puts straight into the position you need to go. It's the craziest thing, but it was so hard, dude. It was so hard to climb a mountain with a bike, like not just ride a bike trail with like a mountain trail, but like literally we're climbing this steep trail with a bike, like literally just pedaling up.
And it works a different muscle group too.
Dude, it's so hard. It was probably the hardest physical thing I've ever done. Like just crazy. So I'm like just pedaling through these mountains, and my boss is making fun of me because I'm the young one, right? So when it comes to like, always flexing or just being young or having a lot of energy or dancing, whatever, my bosses always make fun of me because one of them's in their 40s and the other one's 31, I think, but they always make me the young guy, right? And so he's making fun of me because he's really good at mountain biking and I'm like just learning, and he's like, oh, you gotta keep up, man. Looks like the youngest guy is the fittest of us after all. I'm like, I don't even know how to use this thing. Like,
It keeps hitting my balls.
Yeah, dude. Like, I don't even know how to use this bike. What do you mean? You can't be roasting me on something I don't know how to do. And so, but anyways, we had really a lot of fun. But that was probably the hardest thing I've done. It'd be like if you were climbing Borah, but with a bike instead of your feet. Like just going up this.
I'd feel safer on a bike, honestly. I'd probably rather, because was there any like actual like dangerous parts where you like?
So yeah, because then once we climbed the mountain, we had to go down the mountain, right? And my bosses were not going. They didn't relax, bro. There was no chill.
So you just coast all the way down and just
like curving these paths, dude. Like if you went down those switchbacks in Borah, but with a bike, dude. So you're like just flying, probably like 45, 60 miles, just grinding.
That's not safe.
That was insane, dude. I had a helmet actually, but it was crazy.
See, that's still probably safer than going over chicken out and stuff.
Yeah, for that short, yeah. But I did hit a couple trees. I hit a tree once, like while I was biking, and I could have flown off a cliff, easy. Like I would have hit the tree, and then I literally, the tree stopped me. I hit a rock. My bike flipped, and there was a cliff, but I freaking like a cartoon pancake splattered on this tree and like wallowed it. And I was like, ugh. And then I looked down, and it's just like a 50-foot cliff. I'm like, well, that could have ended badly, but this tree saved my life.
It'd been funnier if it was, I mean, if you did die, it'd been funny if it was more cartoonish and you smack in the tree like, oh, thank gosh. And then just, or the tree starts.
Just down the cliff, man. It was tough, bro. But anyways, back to the other story. Since we're jumping around. Ooh, lake camp.
Yeah, we're gonna start wrapping. This is gonna be yucking on Borah. I want to talk about other stuff today, but you just had a lot of good stuff about Borah.
Borah, dude, it's crazy.
I'll wrap it up on this because it was reminding me a lot of times. Like my biggest struggle with me is my addiction to nicotine and cigarettes specifically, because nicotine can satiate that one addiction, but there's so many other chemicals and like cigarettes and stuff that they put in there to keep it like burning hot and stuff. And so I had fallen off the wagon a little bit, and I started bumming couple from here and there, and then I started buying packs again. And so I quit cold turkey again, and that's something I've been like last 3 days, man, just not. It's a serious withdrawal.
Pretty tough.
Yeah,
man.
Especially because
withdrawals of any kind are really hard.
Yeah,
any addiction that you've done long enough to kind of replace dopamine in your brain and kind of regulate your chemical balance, man. Yeah, it's gonna be.
But it goes back to what they were saying with Borah. I mean, we can do hard things, especially if it's good for you in the long run.
Right.
You have to chase not what is expedient. What is a quote? Forgot. Chase what is meaningful, not what is expedient.
There you go.
And that's a good rule of thumb.
Yeah, man.
For everyone.
Hard stuff. You have to do. I mean, that's what Joe Rogan says. Is the reason why.
It's a common phrase amongst successful people,
Yeah.
Specifically the intellectual dark web. Jordan Peterson, Joe Rogan, Sam Harris, all those guys. It's just like, if you're focused on the long run versus right now, you will be happier and more happier in the future than whatever fleeting experience is thrown at you.
Like Joe Rogan literally said, he's like, man, like I don't chase fame. He's like, I don't think that I chase fame or want to be famous because I do a lot of hard stuff, and because of that, it just humbles me. Like I'm just grinding at like he talks about how he has a house up in the mountains. He just runs, and running's hard for him, right? And he does jiu-jitsu. He has a black belt in jiu-jitsu.
2 black belts. He has an udgi, no-gi, and gi. Because it's 2 different forms of fighting. So we got, I'm sure the second one came much easier. But 2 black belts. And essentially they're 2 different martial arts.
Right.
Like there's a lot of similarities. But
and so he does that. He lifts hard. Like he just does hard exercise. Like he talks about how he just does hard stuff. And because he does hard things, it humbles him because he's always failing. He's always like, man, like I didn't do as well as I wanted to, or blah, And Gary talks about the same thing. It's like, if you want to learn, failure is the way to do it. Like you have to try something, and if it doesn't work the way you wanted it to, you analyze it, you reverse engineer is what he always says, right?
Yep.
And then you figure it out again. And what am I gonna, what's my next plan of attack? How am I gonna? You take it to the chin, and you proceed with no hurt feelings. Don't be butthurt about it, and that's it.
You just hop back on, dude.
Yep. So
don't fall off the wagon if you're on it, man.
That's right.
And if you're off it, get back on.
Yeah, it's hard. So.
Anyways, from me and brother Sean, we wish all the Yuck Yuck listeners peace and love.
Peace and love, brother.
Awkward silence while I cue the outro.
I can't hear the outro. So
I know. I put it on your headset. Now it's not playing for me. There it is.
Funny story, I actually threw up in front of his office.
Tastes like shit. Don't be gross.
Yellowmouth Yuck Yuck from Idaho. Here we go.
Yuck Yuck. Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's yucking time.
All right, everyone. Thank you for listening. If you want to support the show and get bonus content or be added to the intro outro, visit patreon.com/yuckyuck for bonus content and more. Helps out a lot. Peace and love, everyone.
Nice.
I need to pee so bad.
There you go, man.
I'm leaving that in from the camera mic.
That was a good episode, man.
Yeah.
That was some solid stuff. I forgot about that story until just now.
I know, and I wanted to talk about it too. That was a weird thing.
Oh, really?
Because I wanted to talk about my issue with nicotine, and that was like my